Hey, what's up, traders? This is Trader Tim from eminimine.com, and in this video, I wanted to kind of walk you through how I use my brackets in Thinkorswim to place my orders. I had actually a couple of questions come in about that, so I thought it'd be helpful, most helpful to just do a video on that. So as most of you probably know, I like to keep things very simple. So this is just my active trader setup, and I just keep the ES chart on the left, or whatever market I'm trading, whether it's the ES, the NASDAQ, the Euro. I just keep one chart in the active trader, and then my dome over on the right. And the way I set up my brackets, so what I like to do kind of trade wise is to put the entire position on at once, have a stop in place at the time I start the position, and then have one exit point that's kind of a smaller target. In the ES, I have my default set to 2 points, and then the rest of the position I just kind of leave open-ended. And I like to be able to manage my stop, trailing my stop on the position in multiple places, and that usually happens after I get that first target hit. So the markets are closed now, but I thought I'd walk through a little bit of an example here. So uh, in the trading room, a lot of times I use examples of three contracts when I'm breaking down different ways to go about managing a position. And I like to trade in increments of three. A lot of times I trade six. I Over the years, I've kind of gone bigger, 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 and then you reach a point where you start to get a little uncomfortable. So then I dial it back, and four, five, six, seven, eight contracts somewhere in that range is a great kind of happy medium I find for myself. But that's going to be different for everybody, obviously. But three contracts is kind of a nice increment, 3, 6, 9, because if you break them up, like let's say six, you can do two contracts at the first target, two contracts at a conservative trail stop, and then two contracts as an aggressive trail stop. With three contracts, you can do the same thing, just 1, 1, 1. So the way that I do my orders, if I were to just come in here and put a single order, it would just be that order, and that's it. So don't want to do that. What I like to do is just a basic bracket, and I have it set up with two brackets usually. So I've got one here just titled 3. And then if I want to go in, whether I'm trading 3 contracts, 6 contracts, 9 contracts, if I dial my quantity down to 3 and I hover my, let's say I want to put on a short position, and I'm always using limit orders. So if I were to like click over here, the price would have to come up to my order to fill me. So I'm never using market orders and buy market, sell market. I guess I shouldn't say never. In very few instances, I'll use like a buy stop and a sell stop, but they have very specific purposes. So you'll notice when at least in toss, when I click and then cancel the order, it reverts back to single. And that's actually really helpful because then I can go in, and if I need to make changes to my stops, then if I click to place a stop, it's not going to throw a bracket as well. So let's do that example again. If I were to say I want to put on a short, if the market comes up to 84.75, and I click there, you notice it shows up on my chart. And what I do, I've got my stop at minus 1.5 points, and I come in and I delete these last like larger targets. So I have the whole position set up so that it's 1.5 points for the stop on each one, and then a third of the position has a 2-point target, and then the other 2/3, it doesn't really matter where the target is because I'm going to delete it anyways. But then see how now the 3 stop positions are separate. So then I could come in, let's say, the market it fills me and it starts moving down, hits my first target. Then I can come in here and I can manage, one stop in one way. I could put the other stop, really tight over here. And so now I've got, three different stop positions in the just going to make that single so I can hover, three different stop positions in different locations. And so then if I were to, uh, cancel all of that, I can either do last configuration or just click one of the standards that I've set up in my order bracket. So then if I want to like go up to 6, I just boom, go up to 6, and then these all change. And then when I hover to put on an order, same thing. Okay, I draw my retracement setup over on my chart, find my level, put my order in, and then boom, boom, I just come in here and delete these two targets. That's like the further targets, so that what I end up with is my entry, my stop for the whole position, my first target for a small portion of the position, and then once this gets hit, and then one of these stop orders will go away. So I would end up with that gets hit, one of the stops goes away. Now I can just manage the position by only managing the stop. And that's the only thing that I would do is just trail my stop on the rest of the position. So I'm not putting targets out there for the remaining contracts. What'll end up happening, let's say I'm short from like over here, and all of a sudden the market really starts going down. I get my first target hit, and we start moving really quickly. What I'll do, rather than just trying to, hit the flatten button or come in and just put a closing order out there, I'll drag my stop down and I'll just put it one or two ticks above each candle's high. In this case, if I was short. And so it's just a matter of drag my stop down, just keep it one tick or two ticks above each candle, drag it down, drag it down, drag it down. All of a sudden I'm down here, and then boom, I get stopped out down here when we break the prior candle's high, as opposed to being up here and just closing out the position because for not really any reason other than it's moving in your favor. So by having my bracket orders set up that way, and I'll just leave this up if you want to take a screenshot or just copy that, you can. So that way, when I put on a position, the stop order goes in initially, and if it were to blow through my order and then rip through my stop, it's filled right away. If I was just doing a single order and I put a limit order out there, and then I came over here and put a stop order and then adjust the quantity and put some targets, it's a little bit more cumbersome. So just some simple, very simple brackets is really all that I use. And then I also clean up my chart or the active trader. If you come into the configure button, you can just get rid of things, add things, but most of the time I'm getting rid of things and trying to make it as clean as I can. So I hope that was helpful. Nothing really too crazy going on today. Pretty quiet actually. There were a handful of bigger opportunities that I was looking for, but we ended up kind of coming back into, like taking along here as we re-entered the first 30-minute range is what I was looking for, but then we stopped right at the short. So just a couple of small things today is all I had, and yeah, so that's how I set up my orders. If you have any questions, you go ahead and post them in the comments below, and I'd be happy to answer. Thanks everyone, and have a great weekend.